This is a 2008 Jeep Commander, and today we will be replacing the front coil springs, shocks and upper control arms. The front suspension is squeaking, the upper control arm is the squeak, and the shock absorber looks like a disaster. So I'm going to replace these. Here is the new. And we'll begin by raising front right wheel. Next comes a caliper. These are 21 millimeter. Okay, lower sway bar link bolt is 18 millimeter. Upper control arm nut. I'm using a handy tool, by the way. Everyone should get one of these. So according to folklore, you can just whack these. There's a removal tool to get this out. Okay, so this is what we're going to use. Now, actually the left side came out very easily. It's only the right side that I'm having problems with. I think I've got to check this stuff. So yeah, the suspension is probably. So you can see here there's plenty of space to remove this now that all this stuff is out of the way. Okay, so this is a 24 and it's a monster nut, so I don't even know if it's possible to get it out. Jesus. Okay. Oh, what do you know? done. If you watched the previous video, you would have seen that I cut this bolt down here because this thing is held on by 3 points here, a plastic rivet and a nut, and I actually cut that nut off with a Dremel tool, so there's no nut there. So that makes it easier. I mean, it's questionable whether there was supposed to be a nut there in the first place, because it doesn't really make sense. Okay. Well, that seems to just balance just fine. Okay. I guess I got very lucky. There's some cables here which are in the way. Okay, so there's this plastic thing which is now away, so I can get access to these 4 bolts. Okay, let's see if I can do this with one hand. Who needs a cameraman? Okay, the kit comes with new nuts, so those are actually going to get thrown out. I mean, this thing still isn't going anywhere, but we're getting there. So now you've got to remove the upper control arm. Now, to get at the upper control arm, you've got to take this shroud off, which means you've got to remove all these rivets here. Now, of course, don't start this job unless you've got replacement rivets. So you need to remove this whole shroud to get to this nut over here. Okay, this is the sensor for the ABS, so that's got to come out. So now I've got to get this bolt out. And how to get that out is a good question. This all can just be whacked out. Very confused why it doesn't even move at all. I think I'm going to start by getting the rest of this lock thing off. So now I'm going to try cutting the bolt head all the way off. Okay, that's not going to work. That's not good. Okay. Okay, that was absolute fucking hell, but I have the bolt out, and so I was hoping to come up with a procedure for removing this bolt, and unfortunately I failed. I tried to pull it through from the other side by cutting the head off, but the problem is cutting the head off doesn't help because this end of the bolt is actually thicker. So you can't pull it through. You can pull it through a little bit of the way, but you can't pull it all the way through. So I pulled it through a little bit of the way, and then I hammered it back through. You can see how rusted this is. So a lot of people have online discussed this, and I went to look what's going on online, how to get this bolt out, and many of them just replaced the whole lower control arm. But at least I got this out. So this, no. Okay, so this is the thing that you don't want to. This is the thing that you don't want to mess up or break. So I have put a few tiny scratches on there and on there, but nothing serious. Okay, here's a replacement bolt from Lowe's, 5/8 by 11, then 5 inches long, with nuts and washers. I'm just going to explain a procedure for getting the old nut off, which I think will work. So the first thing is you've got to remove the nut. So you can heat that up with blowtorch, just a little, not so much that you're going to melt any of the rubber in the bushing, but just enough, and then with an impact wrench it'll come off. And you can go in both directions with the impact wrench to loosen it up. The next thing you do is you cut the head of the bolt off. Now this bolt is actually thicker towards the head, so it doesn't help you that much, but what happens is once you've cut the head of the bolt off, and if you cut it flush, so imagine it's like this, and you cut the head off, so you can now use this nut and a wrench and by going with the impact wrench on this nut, you can pull this through from where it is there to there. Okay. Then you take your angle grinder and you feather out all these threads. So you can see what I've done here. I've made the whole thing thinner. And then you can hit it back out. And that's how you do it. And that's how you can remove this bolt. And then all you got to do is go to Lowe's and buy a replacement. And this is grade 8, by the way. You don't want to have a grade 5 bolt in here, because that could mean instant death. I'm just using a flapper wheel here to try and get all that shit out, so the bolt will actually go in. So I think I've got it where it will go in with a bit of persuasion. So this goes in here. So that's got to go in before you tighten these up, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get the bolts. I think that just caught one thread there, which is good enough for now. Just going to line this up now. So, I have a washer. Okay, so this is the good stuff. And thought I got one or two threads, but it seems that I did not. Okay, and so I'm doing this on the lowest power, so I don't tighten them because I've got to properly torque them. I'm not going to tighten this up now because I want to first level the car and then tighten, which is the proper procedure. Okay, this comes with a cotter pin, obviously. So this is the upper control arm to body. Upper ball joint nut, 70 foot-pounds. So there are all the torque specs. Please pause your video now and take a screenshot. Okay, so that's 60 foot-pounds. So I'm going to turn it, I'm going to go a bit more. Until I see the hole. Okay, so I've got to go a little bit more. That's 70, and I can see the hole. Okay, so that's perfect. So this has got to go back in as well. So all the bolts are back in. So now I've got to balance out the Jeep. Everything's level now. Now I can torque these up. Now I can't torque these to correct spec, but I'm just going to make them really tight. These are locking nuts, they actually squash. They are grade 10.9, so you can really hammer on them. I'm going to tie this cable up. Okay, so I've tied that up. It's not as good as OEM, but it's good enough. The stabilizer link bar lower nut is 85 foot-pounds. Okay, so we're back to one-handed operation. 70 foot-pounds for these. This nut here, just got to go back on. Here it is. Torque on this is enormous. It's 125 foot-pounds. So we've tightened this bolt. Well, we haven't done that bolt. This is 90 foot-pounds. I think this is over tightened. Okay, then that's perfect. Okay, so we've got all the bolts. We torqued that one, we torqued that one, tightened those two, we torqued all those. We torqued the link bar, so everything is torqued up. The only thing we want to do is put grease in here. Okay, so everything is back together. Okay. Brake caliper bolts, 125 foot-pounds.